I stood outside my childhood home, my cheek burning from my father's hand. The Colorado night was cold, but nothing compared to the ice in my chest. He slapped me and threw me out because I needed 5 minutes to finish a work call before moving my car. 5 minutes. That was my crime. What my father did not know was that I had been paying for my sister's entire wedding, $85,000, every penny. As I stood there in the darkness, something inside me broke. Before I tell you what happened next, let me know where you are watching from today. Hit that subscribe button and stay with me, because what I did after that slap, well, my family never saw it coming. My name is Joaquin, and I grew up in a quiet suburb outside Denver, Colorado. From the outside, we looked like any other middle-class American family. A 2-story house with a big backyard, a golden retriever named Biscuit, and weekend barbecues in the summer. But inside those walls there was an invisible line that separated me from the rest of my family. And that line had everything to do with my little sister Megan. Megan was born 4 years after me. From the moment she arrived, something shifted in our household. My father, Gerald, who worked as a construction manager, suddenly had a new light in his eyes. A light that never quite shone on me the same way. My mother, Patricia, was a homemaker. She was kind and gentle, but she had this habit of going quiet whenever my father spoke. She never challenged him, not once in my entire life. I remember my 10th birthday. I had asked for a bicycle, a red one with black stripes. I got a second-hand bike from a garage sale repainted blue. My father said it built character to appreciate what you have. When Megan turned 10, she got a brand new mountain bike, pink and purple, straight from the store. My father drove 45 minutes to pick it up because that specific color was only available at one location. I did not say anything. I just watched her ride it around the driveway while I sat on the porch pretending it did not hurt. The pattern continued through the years. When I made the honor roll in 8th grade, my father nodded and said, "Good job," without looking up from his newspaper. When Megan made the cheerleading squad in middle school, we went out for dinner at her favorite Italian restaurant. The whole family celebrated like she had won an Olympic medal. I sat there eating my pasta, telling myself that maybe I just needed to try harder. Maybe if I achieved something bigger, he would finally see me. I worked relentlessly through high school. I studied late into the night, took advanced placement classes, joined the robotics club, and volunteered at the local food bank. When I got accepted into the University of Colorado with a full academic scholarship, I thought this was it. This was the moment my father would finally be proud. The day I received my acceptance letter, I ran downstairs to show him. He was watching a football game. He glanced at the letter, said, "That is great, son," and turned back to the television. That same week, Megan got accepted into a summer dance program, and my father took the entire day off work to drive her to the orientation 3 hours away. He packed her favorite snacks and made a playlist of her favorite songs for the road trip. I watched them drive off from my bedroom window, the scholarship letter still sitting on the kitchen counter where I had left it. College became my escape. I studied software engineering, buried myself in code, and found a world where logic and hard work actually produced results. I graduated with honors and landed a job at a tech company in Seattle. Within 6 years, I had climbed the ladder to become a senior software architect, earning $220,000 a year. I lived modestly, saved aggressively, and invested wisely. I had a comfortable apartment downtown, a reliable car, and a financial stability that would have seemed impossible to my 18-year-old self. But no matter how successful I became, nothing changed at home. When I visited for holidays, my father would ask about my job as if it were some temporary hobby. "That computer thing still working out for you?" he would say, barely waiting for my answer before launching into a story about Megan. She had become an event planner after college, which my father described as a real career with real people. Unlike sitting in front of a screen all day, he would add, glancing at me with something that looked like disappointment, "I never fought back. I never argued. I just accepted it as the price of being part of this family." My mother knew how I felt. Sometimes when my father was not around, she would squeeze my hand and whisper that she was proud of me. But she never said it out loud when he could hear. She never defended me when he dismissed my achievements. Her silence was its own kind of wound. When Megan got engaged to her boyfriend Derek, a sales manager at a car dealership, the excitement in our family reached a fever pitch. My father talked about the wedding constantly. He wanted it to be the event of the year, a celebration that everyone in town would remember. Megan dreamed of a destination wedding at a resort in Colorado Springs with mountain views and an outdoor ceremony at sunset. The estimated cost was $85,000. My father announced at a family dinner that he would pay for everything. He said it with such pride, such confidence. But I knew the truth. I had seen the family finances when I helped my mother with some paperwork a few years back. My parents had maybe $20,000 in savings. There was no way they could afford this wedding without going into serious debt. A few days after that dinner, my mother called me, her voice heavy with worry. She explained that my father had already started making promises to Megan about the wedding, but she had no idea how they were going to pay for it. She was terrified of telling him the truth, afraid of his reaction, afraid of disappointing Megan. I made a decision in that moment. I told my mother that I would pay for the entire wedding, every single dollar, but I had one condition. No one could know. Not Megan, not Derek, and especially not my father. My mother protested at first, saying it was too much, that I should not have to do this. But I insisted. I told her I wanted Megan to have her perfect day. And maybe, just maybe, a part of me still hoped that if I did something this significant, my father might finally see me differently, might finally appreciate me. We created a cover story. My mother told my father that the resort offered a special payment plan that spread the cost over 6 months with 0 interest. He bought it without question. Meanwhile, I contacted every vendor directly. The Mountain View Resort for the venue and reception, gourmet events for catering, bloom and petal studio for flowers, a photographer and videographer team, a DJ and live band, Sweet Haven Bakery, for the 5-tier wedding cake, and a limousine. Service. I paid deposits, made installments, and handled every invoice that came through. All of it went to my personal email. By the time the wedding was 2 weeks away, I had spent $85,000, and not a single person except my mother knew. 2 weeks before the wedding, my mother organized a family gathering at the house in Denver. It was meant to be a casual get-together, a chance for everyone to connect before the big day. I flew in from Seattle bringing 2 bottles of expensive wine as a gift. I was actually looking forward to it despite everything. I told myself this was a chance to be part of the family, to celebrate something joyful together. The guest list included my parents, Megan and Derek, my grandmother Eleanor on my mother's side, my Aunt Karen, and Uncle Frank. The house smelled like roasted chicken and fresh bread when I arrived. Megan hugged me at the door, genuinely happy to see me. For a moment I felt like maybe things were changing, but dinner told a different story. My father spent the entire meal talking about Derek. He introduced him to my grandmother and aunt as if he were presenting a trophy. Derek, my future son-in-law, top salesman, 3 years running, a real go-getter, he said, clapping Derek on the shoulder. Derek smiled humbly and thanked him. Megan beamed with pride. Not once did my father mention me to our relatives. Not once did he bring up my promotion to director that I had received just a month earlier. I sat at the table eating my food, smiling politely, and pretending it did not matter. My grandmother asked me what I did for work at one point, and before I could answer, my father interjected with some comment about dessert, and the conversation moved on. About halfway through dinner, my phone buzzed. I glanced at the screen and saw it was from my team lead at work, a message marked urgent. I excused myself quietly and stepped out onto the back porch to take the call. It was a serious system outage affecting one of our major clients. I needed to guide my team through the troubleshooting process remotely. It was not something I could ignore. I was 10 minutes into the call, pacing the porch and giving instructions, when the back door swung open. My father stood there with an irritated expression. "Joaquin, come inside and move your car. You are blocking Megan." I covered the phone and whispered back, "Dad, give me 5 minutes. This is a work emergency." He did not like that answer. His jaw tightened. I said, "Move your car. Megan and Derek need to go pick up dessert." I tried to explain. "This is important. I just need 5 minutes." His voice rose. "Important? What could possibly be more important than your sister?" I went back to my call, trying to wrap things up quickly. But my father was not done. He stepped closer, his face reddening. "You come here acting like you are too important for this family. Always on that phone, always thinking you are better than everyone else." I ended the call as fast as I could, telling my team I would call back shortly. I turned to face my father, frustration finally bubbling to the surface. "Dad, I said I would move it. Why are you making this such a big deal?" He stepped closer until we were nearly chest to chest. "A big deal? You are the one who always makes everything about yourself." At this point, Megan and Derek had come outside. They stood by the door watching. My mother was behind them, her hand over her mouth. My grandmother and aunt peered through the window. "That is not fair," I said, my voice steady but strained. "I have done everything for this family." My father laughed, but it was not a kind laugh. It was bitter, mocking, everything. "What have you ever done?" Something inside me snapped.